She was born to shine, but the world around her turned her life into a tragic spectacle. Her father dreamed of making her a flamenco queen, but his parenting methods destroyed her childhood. A lifetime of dancing to exhaustion, betrayal, violent marriages, and fighting for her children. How did a girl with a rebellious soul, who grew up under the heel of a tyrant, manage to turn into one of the greatest stars of Hollywood? Why did the glitter of her career always hide the pain and tears? And which of her daddies turned out to be the cruelest? The real story of Rita Hayworth is more than Hollywood. It's a life on the brink of survival. Her parents were considered a brilliant couple. The father, Eduardo Cancino, an immigrant from Seville, was a famous flamenco dance performer. Mother, an Irish woman, Volga Hayworth, once danced in the famous show Ziegfeld's Madness. Actually, on this show, Eduardo and Volga met. In 1917 they married, and October 17, 1918, Volga gave birth to a daughter. Eccentric dancer, Eduardo named the girl colorfully Margarita Carmen. Thus, the father in advance let the whole world know what he wants to see his daughter in the future. A flamenco dancer, of course. Volga, whose brother was a Hollywood actor, Vinton Hayworth, argued with her husband. The woman believed that the acting career for the girl is preferable. The father was adamant. From the time I was 3.5, as soon as I could stand on my own 2 feet, they gave me dancing lessons. I didn't like it very much, but I didn't have the courage to tell my father, so I started taking lessons. Rehearse. That was my childhood. For several years, Margarita took classes at Carnegie Hall with her uncle, dancer Angel Cancino. In 1926, when Marguerite was 8 years old, her father decided that he had reached his creative ceiling in New York. In addition, Eduardo had a conviction that dance needed to be shown on the movie screen, and his family could pioneer the creation of dance films. In 1927, the family Cancino moved to sunny Hollywood. Eduardo opened a theater studio here, where he taught dancing to movie stars. Despite the fact that Eduardo studied with such stars as Jean Harlow and James Cagney, money was always short. Hollywood, a place for the rich. As a result, Mr. Cancino decided to use his main asset, daughter Margarita. In 1931, the girl was 12 years old. She looked older than her age, and with makeup and a grown-up dress, is quite similar to the girl. The father decided that it was time for his daughter to dance. It was time to earn money. The father dyed his daughter's hair black to give her an even more adult look. Now Eduardo practiced with Margarita purposefully. She became his constant partner. The family duo was called Dancing Cancinos. When Eduardo was ready to take his daughter to the dance floor in front of interested spectators, it turned out that according to the laws of California, it is impossible. Children are forbidden to perform in nightclubs. Eduardo solved this issue in his usual eccentric manner. He went with Margarita in Mexico, in the city of Tijuana. The performance in Tijuana was a success. Father and daughter danced inspirationally. Especially warmly, the Mexicans welcomed Margarita. After a successful show, Eduardo Cancino thoroughly loaded in the bar with tequila. Margarita waited for her father in the room. When she returned, Eduardo, who had long been making lewd innuendos to his daughter, pounced on her and did the dreaded. While the dancing Cancinos were in Tijuana, Eduardo dressed Margarita in seductive clothes and called her his wife in public. What happened in the room was repeated several more times. If Margarita resisted, Eduardo would grab his belt with the words, "Daddy will punish." In general, these words, "Daddy will punish," the girl remembered them for life and repeatedly recalled them later. Margarita cried tears, but obeyed her father. But when she went out on the dance floor of some stained nightclub, full of sweaty hot men, the girl smiled broadly, with all 32 teeth. Her father was smiling too. What was behind those smiles? No one knew. No one knew except the mother. Volga Cancino immediately realized something was wrong. Eduardo was different with her daughter, and she was different with him. Soon, Volga witnessed an unpleasant scene that said a lot about her husband. After that, Mrs. Cancino began to sleep in the same bed with her daughter, protecting her from her father. Marguerite, meanwhile, became the family's main breadwinner. Because of her work as a dancer, she never managed to finish high school. But in 1934, 16-year-old beauty Margarita Cancino starred in an episodic role in the Mexican film Cruz Diablo. The magical world of cinema conquered the girl once and for all. Yes, she was still dancing with her father, but her dream is already fully formed. She wants to be an actress. Father, without wanting to, made for a movie career daughter more than anyone else. In 1935, during a performance of Dancing Cancinos in the club, Caliente Margarita saw the head of the film company, Fox Film, Winfried Sheehan. Mr. Sheehan came to Margarita backstage and handed the beauty a business card, on which was written the date of the film auditions. The movie auditions were held a week later, and based on their results, Marguerite signed her first Hollywood contract. In the contract, she used her new pseudonym, Rita Cancino. Under her contract with Fox, Marguerite acted in several movies. In 1936, Winfried Sheehan began to prepare Miss Cancino for her first starring role. It was planned that the girl would play in Ramona, a big color film, as they would say in our time, the future blockbuster. But after Fox merged with 20th Century Fox, new executive producer Darryl Zanuck gave the role in Ramona to his protégé Loretta Young. Contract with Rita. Mr. Zanuck refused to extend the contract with Rita, and she lost her job in the movie. It seemed that the movie career could be put on the cross. But suddenly, on Rita came to the oil man and aspiring promoter, Edward Judson. Not young, more than twice as old as Rita, not very handsome, but at the same time, incredibly punchy and convincing. Edward Judson was a new daddy for 17-year-old Rita, but not the kind that punishes. At least that's how it seemed to her. With Judson, she was at first at ease. She was confident in her future. In 1836, 18-year-old Rita ran away from her parents' home to Edward Judson and soon married him. Judson helped the aspiring actress to change the image. From black-haired Hispanic, which she wanted to see her father, Rita turned into a red-haired American. In addition, Edward advised his wife to take a new, more American pseudonym. She, after some thought, decided to take her mother's surname, Hayworth. Judson helped Rita to get several important roles in her career, which made Hayworth a popular actress. Alas, the new daddy was little better than his own father. Powerful, harsh businessman Edward Judson, every year more and more showed his unsettled character, treating Rita Hayworth as his property, as an investment. Rita Hayworth's money did not exist for Judson, it was all his money. February 24, 1942, Rita filed for divorce, complaining of her husband's cruelty. Judson gave divorce, but at the same time left his young wife penniless. Hayworth later claimed that her husband forced her to give him most of the property under threat of causing her serious bodily harm. Good daddy turned into an evil Carabas Barabbas. Rita was on the street, and the road to the parental home was not. The father, furious at the flight and marriage of his daughter, of course, would take her back. But the actress knew what kind of life it awaits. under the father's roof, helped friends who provided Rita with a room in Los Angeles and a little money for food. Fortunately, in Hollywood, Rita was not forgotten. In 1942, immediately after the divorce, released a musical comedy, You've Never Been More Delightful, in which Hayworth amazingly danced with the famous actor and dancer Fred Astaire. Finally, Rita, in full use of dance skills, what she learned since childhood, for which she paid such a great price. A real Hollywood star, the object of adoration of all America, Rita Hayworth became in 1946, after the release of Charles Vidor melodrama Gilda. The following year, Rita married a second time. This time, her chosen one was director Orson Welles, who shot his wife in the movie The Lady from Shanghai. In this marriage, Rita first gave birth to a child, a daughter, Rebecca. Alas, this did not save the relationship with Welles. After 5 years of living together, the couple divorced. A few weeks after the divorce, Rita Hayworth became the wife of Pakistani Prince Ali Khan, son of Sultan Aga Khan. The prince was 7 years older than Rita, and he was devilishly rich. Surprisingly, after all her incredible achievements in movies, Rita Hayworth was still looking for a daddy who would not punish her. Ali Khan didn't live up to expectations. Despite the birth of his daughter Yasmina in 1949, the prince mercilessly cheated on his stunningly beautiful wife. In 1951, Rita learned that Ali Khan was going to steal Yasmina, take her to Europe, and make her a Muslim. The actress filed for divorce. The scandalous legal process lasted 2 years. During this time, Ali Khan managed to offer his wife $1 million for his daughter to go to Europe with him. Rita, with indignation, rejected this proposal. Yasmina stayed with her mother. Rita still continued to believe that she would succeed in starting a family. In 1953, she became the wife of American singer and actor Dick Haymes, but 2 years later, this marriage broke up. The last spouse, Hayworth, became a British director and screenwriter James Hill. With Hill, the actress divorced in 1961. By this point, the health of the 43-year-old star was thoroughly undermined. Rita had problems with memory, and play in the movie, she became increasingly difficult. Soon, doctors gave Hayworth a terrible diagnosis: Alzheimer's disease. Rita courageously fought the disease, continued to act in movies. At the age of 54, after filming in the movie The Wrath of God, Hayworth announced the end of her career. In the early 80s, Rita could not take care of himself. The guardian of the actress was her youngest daughter Yasmina, the one that Hayworth, with such difficulty, managed to defend her husband. The girl adored her mother, idolized her. May 14, 1987, the famous actress, star of the golden age of Hollywood, Rita Hayworth, died at the age of 68 years in the arms of her daughter Yasmina. This was the fate of a stunningly beautiful woman who, it seems, certainly should have found their female happiness, but she didn't.